Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about that extreme winter storm that's going to bring plenty of severe weather and tons of snowfall. Now, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, which state do you think is going to be the most impacted by this one? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's get straight into things, taking a look at the storm reports. This was from yesterday. We had that slight risk of severe weather. We did not have any tornadoes, thankfully, which is very good news. We did eventually get upgraded to a 5% chance. So obviously, when you're only at a 2 or a 5, there is a very good probability that you just don't even see any of those tornadoes, which is very good news. We did have some wind reports. We had 2 wind reports, both in Kansas there, and then we had 7 reports of hail there. So we definitely did have some severe weather going on, but just not the tornadoes, which is very good news. All right, now for today, so Thursday, that's going to be March 11th. As you can see, we're going to have a marginal risk only. So it's not looking like today is going to be a huge severe weather day. Still pay attention, be on the lookout for any sort of isolated tornadoes or anything like that. They're always possible with these thunderstorms. But outside of that, it's not looking like too bad of a day for Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and Illinois. You just should get some general thunderstorms with maybe a little bit of some windiness or hail, but we're not expecting too much of anything going on today. Here's those individual outlooks real quick. You see the wind outlook. We only have that 5% chance. Same story with the hail, and then we don't even have a 2% chance of tornado. We're under 2% chance. But again, anything can happen. Be on the lookout for that. What we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're going to talk about that simulated radar. So we're going to break down what the model guidance is showing for the snowstorm. First off, we're going to break down that very massive, almost historic or possibly even historic snowstorm. And now we're even taking a look at a northeast snowstorm that is possible as well. And then we're going to break down the severe weather after that. All right, now here we are taking a look at that snowstorm. And first things first, we have that snowfall going on. This is going to be about 7 p.m. tomorrow, so Friday. We will have that severe weather underway, but I'm going to talk about that separately towards the end, so rest assured we will recap on that. But we're taking a look at some snowfall for Utah, Arizona, Nevada, even in through California as well here. Let's just take that towards about 1 p.m. on Saturday, and this is when things really begin to get underway. The one thing I want you to pay attention to is the time frame here. It's such a long time frame that we're taking a look at the snowfall. So the snow rates are going to be really heavy, but what's really going to make it a big one is the fact that we see it curve around the 4 corner states and really just hang out for a very long time. That's what most of the time creates these very historic snowstorms and blizzards, and I think that's why this one is going to drop massive amounts of snowfall. We will go over those snowfall totals towards the end, like I said, but here's that snowfall coming down, especially for Colorado, but also New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Wyoming, and even Nebraska. But by the time we're reaching 6 a.m., it becomes apparent this one is a very major snowstorm. As you can see, very heavy snowfall for Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, Colorado as well, with that low pressure center just hanging out there in Kansas and Nebraska. This is a very classic snowstorm track out there for the Rockies, and some of our biggest snowstorms ever have done this kind of U-shaped curve around that's made it last a lot longer, the heavy snowfall. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on, and we're going to move on further through this snowstorm where it's just going to continue to come down very heavily. Now here we are taking a look at about 7 p.m. there on Sunday here on March 14th. And as you can see, again, moderate to heavy snowfall widespread throughout Colorado. It's finally moved mostly north of Colorado there, but you can see we still have a 999 millibar low pressure center for the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas there. So it's still hanging around. There's probably still some very heavy snowfall coming down for Colorado, but especially there by this point, according to the European model, for Wyoming, South Dakota, and Nebraska is where the worst of that snowfall is going to be coming down. Eventually, as we're heading towards about 3 p.m. on Monday, so you can just tell how long-lived this is. We're seeing most of that snowfall move up into the upper Midwest by this point, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa as well. And then take a look at this. This is interesting. At about 1 p.m. on Tuesday, we see that energy mostly transfer. It's over the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes, but we're seeing another low pressure center develop offshore of the East Coast. So most of that energy should transfer over towards a nor'easter that's going to move up the East Coast here. So let's take that towards about 1 a.m. or so on Wednesday here and take a look at that nor'easter developing. We should see pretty decent amount of snowfall for the Northeast and portions of the Mid-Atlantic, considering it's March, so it could be major in terms of a March snowstorm. We're talking 6 to 10, maybe even 10 inches plus for some mountainous regions, but that's a pretty good snowstorm for this time of year. So we have a pretty interesting setup on our hands. And if more of that energy transfers over, we could see a more major snowstorm. If less of that energy transfers over, then we could see less of a snowstorm. So there's multiple different things that could play out. Now, I would like to remind you to smash that like button and also subscribe to the channel. You might have noticed I did the intro a little bit different. I just want to get more straight to the point. Obviously, the channel is at a point where it's just going to organically grow on its own. I don't have to really plug it like I used to, obviously. So I want to just keep things very, very low key and just move on with it. Because I think I've noticed that a lot of people end up skipping over that very long intro anyway. So I'm trying to limit it. I obviously want to keep the comment of the day, but outside of that, I want to just keep it very basic. So let me know what you think of that, by the way. But I am going to remind you guys, obviously, to subscribe and like the video within the video, because you got to plug a little bit, you know. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move on, and we're going to move on towards the severe weather in just a moment, where we're going to kind of recap and just take a look at it from the standpoint of just the severe weather, not really paying attention to the snowstorm anymore. We will eventually take a look at the total snowfall, though. All right, now first things first, here we are taking a look at that convective available potential energy. Again, that is that thunderstorm food, basically, and the thunderstorms eat this stuff up and become stronger and stronger and stronger. This is going to be approximately around 5 or 6 p.m. there on Friday, March 12th. And as you can see, we are going to have some decent amounts of CAPE there. If this one starts out a little bit earlier, I do plan on going live, but if it's another event where it's just so late, I might not be able to. Yesterday, I attempted to go live, but my internet was not working properly, and then I could not get the radar site, WSV3. I could not get the radar site where we had tornado warnings under it to even show any data. So there was just so many problems going on that I was like, this isn't even worth it at this point to even go live. But we do have those 1,000 amounts CAPE in Texas, portions of New Mexico, Oklahoma. Those temperatures are going to be sufficient, 80s and 70s for sure. The dew points up in the 60s, and that's going to shoot northward as those storms do as well. So let's take a look at the simulated radar. This is going to be by about 8 p.m. and you can see there isn't really showing up any thunderstorms at this point yet. So if it is starting out at like 8 or 9 or 10 p.m., that might be a little bit too late. But if it's underway by, let's say, 6 or 7, that's definitely in range where I could do a good 3-hour stream for you guys and cover that. If I started it at 9, I just knew I would get so tired so quick it wouldn't really be worth anybody's time. Now, by the time we're taking a look at approximately 11 p.m., we do start to see some pretty decent looking thunderstorms develop there in Texas. Let's take that forward towards about maybe 12 or 1 a.m. there. And as you can see, we have more of those developing there for the Texas Panhandle. So we're going to see the storms develop. They could be in the form of supercells, and I have looked, and we do have a chance of tornadoes for sure. And the Storm Prediction Center has mentioned the chance of supercell activity, which is obviously those tornadic storms. So we're going to be watching for that very, very closely. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on towards the next few days of severe weather. We're going to take a look at that, and then we're going to break down those snowfall totals, both for the Rockies and the Northeast, in just a moment. Now, this is the severe weather probability by Categorical Outlook here for Saturday and through very, very early on Sunday morning. You can see we do have a slight risk there for portions of Texas and Oklahoma, definitely leaving room for an enhanced risk. I'm not quite sure if we've had an enhanced risk so far this year. If anybody could let me know if we have had an enhanced risk, or maybe multiple, let me know. I've been trying to pay attention as much as possible, but I feel like we've only had slight risks so far. We did not have any moderate risks for the winter, which usually there is 1 or 2 of those wintertime severe weather events, especially in El Nino, so that's probably why we didn't have any. But yeah, a little bit odd to not see any severe weather activity during the winter at all. So here's by the time we're taking a look at about 3 p.m. on Saturday. For the Cape, we do have those 400 to 600, 700, 800 amounts there. But the one thing I want to mention is that these lower resolution models, as we're transitioning to the NAM 12km instead of the 3km, because we're not in range for the 3km, you start to see lower values being picked up here on the lower resolution ones. So we could have some thunderstorms around already by about 11 p.m., but we're going to see a linear type storm mode develop there by about 7 p.m. on Saturday. So a more wind-driven severe weather event, I think. And then for day 4 here, you can see Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, and Louisiana do have that 15% chance still, which probably means we will at least see a slight risk of severe weather. And by the time we're taking a look at about 1 p.m. on Sunday, you can see there will be storms in the area. So we're going to need to see what that looks like by the time we're getting there. It's a little bit more in the extended range, but we will take a look at that in the coming days. Here's the total snowfall for the Rocky Mountains. Absolutely extreme here. If you're anywhere in the grays, adjusting to I guess, if anything. Within the blues, we're taking a look at about 2 to 6 inches of snow. Within the purples, 6 to 10. Within the pinks, we're taking a look at about 10 to 20. And then once we get kind of towards those very bright shades there of some bluish, purplish colors in there for the Rocky Mountains, that's where we're at 20 inches plus. Once it gets kind of pinkish, that's where we're at 36 inches plus. And this model here is saying that there's a maximum of 67.9 inches somewhere in there that this model is calling for. So a very, very extreme amount of snow, obviously. Probably historic at this point if that was to occur. Let's take a look at the Northeast, and as you can see, again, same story. The blues 2 to 6, the purple 6 to 10, and then the pinks are 10 to 20 inches of snow. This model is picking up a maximum of 18.8 inches, and I think that's probably for the top of Mount Washington there. So we're taking a look at a general 6 to 10 inches, like I said, in those purple shades, and then a mountainous amounts of maybe 10 to 20 inches of snow there for the hilly regions of Vermont, New York, New Hampshire, and also Maine up there. Anyway, for our confidence tab, we're at a 5 out of 6. We've stated a 5 out of 6 for quite a while here. So we've been talking about some shorter range things where it's just very high confidence. Anyways, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys yesterday, what is the maximum amount of snowfall you guys think the Rockies will get from this major winter storm? And Laser Stuff said, I think the max snowfall will be between 5 and 6 feet somewhere in northern Colorado. The craziest part about this is this doesn't even seem that far-fetched based on what we're seeing here as far as the model output and that storm track is leading me to believe this is definitely a possibility at this point, believe it or not. So we will continue to track that situation and watch it very, very closely. Anyway, for today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons: Sebastian Tao, John Benbenek, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, Alan Belemo, Adam S., Larry LePan, Donna Carnes, Cameron Marshall, and Aiden Mattis, alongside our diamond patrons: Bill Roberts, Alan Sherry, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalesa, Michael Buell, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Kellen Mainhart, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Mark J, Luke Falago, Gary's, and John Quilisi. If you would like to be a part of this Patreon end screen of the day, you can do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to like and subscribe, and also be sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.